In this video I'm on the Hadrian's Wall walk, but I'm calling stage 2, between Heddon-on-the-wall and Chollerford. So if you want to know what this walk's like and what you're going to see, stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Eddie from Hiking with Dogs, covering everything hiking, multi-day treks and camping. It's my aim through reviews, tips and insights to help inspire, motivate and prepare you for a great outdoor experience, even if you don't have a dog. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos. See you out there.
So here I am on the Hadrian's Wall walk, heading on the wall to Chollerford. So I'm about 2.5 miles in. It's an absolutely stunning day today. The forecast is, unusually for this time of year to be about 13 or 14 degrees, so it's going to be gorgeous. So this particular section of the Hadrian's Wall walk follows the what you call the military road, the B6318, and there's large sections, miles of Hadrian's Wall actually form the foundations of the military road, which was constructed by Field Marshal Wade during the late 1740s and the rise of the Jacobites, and they needed a better road to link Newcastle and Carlisle for military purposes and transportation. So that's why they built this road. But there are some sections further along, I'm hoping, where you'll see bits of the wall. Lily and Setu are geared up. Lovely day. Let's do it. So when I actually come to do the full Hadrian's Wall walk, I'll be wild camping along the way, and I won't be stopping at Heddon-on-the-wall, which is about the 15-mile point, because I'm hoping to do the full walk in over 4 days, which is going to be roughly 20 to 22 miles walking a day. So I need to find somewhere in this section, about 5 or 6 miles in, which will be my 20-21 mile point from the start at Segadunham, and use it as a wild camp. So I'm about 3.5 miles into this particular stage from Heddon-on-the-wall. So in the next mile or two, I'm hoping that we'll find some sort of little wild camping spot. So let's see what we'll find. So I'm now in the Whittledean Nature Reserve. I'm in a bird hide next to the Great Northern Reservoir. So why did the Romans build the wall? Well, in order to answer that, we need to go back a little bit to about 43 AD when the Romans first invaded this big island. Although at the time this wasn't Great Britain in 43 AD, you didn't have an England or a Scotland or a Wales. It was full of Celtic tribes which were warring against each other. When they first invaded, some of these tribes took allegiance to the Roman soldiers, to the Roman invading force, and some didn't. And gradually they established themselves, they built their civilization, their culture, they reduced their agriculture and the roads, and they pushed north. And as they did, they actually conquered or invaded lots of Scotland, but they couldn't retain it, so they had to pull back. And it wasn't until about 122 AD when Hadrian came on the scene that he decided to go on a tour of the empire, assessing these fortifications and the empire in general. But in 122 AD he came up here to assess it and instructed the building of the wall. It was initially thought that the wall was built to keep out these invading barbarians from Caledonia, which is now Scotland, these tribes up in the Highlands who wouldn't comply with the Romans. But the building of this wall, which was basically about 80 miles long and 15 foot high and about 8 to 10 foot wide, was just a massive overkill. These barbarian insurgents, if you like, were never ever going to conquer the Romans with or without the wall. So it led historians to debate as to other reasons why they might have built the wall, and there's probably 3 or 4 reasons. It was probably a means of being a customs border for commerce and trade, for population control, immigration. But one of the main reasons historians think it was built now was as a statement of intent that this is the Roman Empire, the northern frontier, and to keep thousands of troops, bored troops, from becoming mutinous. So Hadrian thought, I'm going to keep these soldiers occupied, and instructed the building of this wall, and it certainly kept them occupied for many, many years. One of the main features along the wall, every mile they built a Milecastle. So what is a Milecastle? A Milecastle was a small fort, and it was used to guard a gateway through the wall. They were placed a Roman mile apart along the length of the wall, and there was 80 of them altogether. They were approximately 15 by 18 metres and housed 20 to 30 auxiliary soldiers in 2 huts. The last few remaining visible Milecastles look something like this one at Caulfield Crags, which is a few miles north of Haltwhistle. In between 2 Milecastles would be 2 watchtowers or observation posts, or called turrets. There'd be 4 to 6 soldiers based in them, and they could quickly get a message to the Milecastles if there was a threat. This is the remains of Brunton Turret, which is just outside Chollerford.
Oh, it really hasn't worked out with the weather. In fact, I think it might start to rain shortly. It's windy. That's estimated probably 25 mile an hour winds. That makes it quite chilly as well. Anyway, on we go.
The ditch that you can see here is called a vallum. It was situated behind the wall on the south side with 2 earth banks either side of the ditch. Historians believe that the vallum probably defined the rear of the military zone. Wondered what life was like back at the time when these soldiers were on the wall, because you just think of Romans, Italians and a wall. I tend not to think much deeper than that. Well, I haven't anyway. But when you drill into it, you know, it's a bit more complex than that. The Roman soldiers at the time who would come up were from all over the place that the Romans had conquered. You had Syrians, North Africans, Spanish, German, Bulgarians, from all over. And when they headed north through the island that we're on here, they recruited local people. I can't imagine it would have been a dream post when Claudius and his family were sent to Northumberland from the Mediterranean. And here I am, sat on the first section of wall that I've seen, Hadrian's Wall. Amazing. So this in the day would have been about 15 feet high and 8 to 10 feet wide. And across the top would have been a walkway so soldiers could walk from one Milecastle to the next
in about 20 minutes. Like I said earlier, between each Milecastle, which were about a mile apart, there was 2 observation posts, which would be used if they needed to send any warning signs to their pals. They can just set a fire, so they'll be able to see the fire or the smoke to warn them. So in the 400 ADs, when the Roman Empire was coming to an end, the Roman army pulled back from Hadrian's wall and left it, and over time it was ransacked and reclaimed, and the wall was basically dismantled, and the bricks used here and there to build villages and churches and walls, and there's hardly anything left, which is such a shame. For it's such a magnificent piece of history. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Hadrian's Wall. We'll forget we've got such a magnificent